Hi everybody, Robin here at Toadstool Tarot. It's a chilly autumn weekend in early November. I have an unboxing for you today. I already opened it. This is not a tarot. Everybody needs a familiar, I think. And since I don't have any pets anymore, I bought a familiar. Have you seen these? This is a Fuggler, which translates to funny, ugly monster. I think that's because maybe they couldn't get away with fucking ugly monster, because that's kind of the way it looks. On the box it says, warning, do not shake contents. The mischievous little creature within may generate excessive excitement with its unpredictable personality. Sleep with your mouth closed and one eye open. Adopt at your own risk. And there's a whole series of these things. So on the back it says mischievous and misunderstood. Don't go to Fuggler.com. That's where they show a variety of these little monsters that you can adopt at your own risk. The one I saw was not on their website, so I went to Amazon and did a search, and there's a whole bunch there that they didn't have on their own website. I don't know why. Maybe they're just featuring the newest ones, or maybe some are out of print or something. Anyway, I'm going to open it up and release the Fuggler. Isn't he adorable? I just had to have this particular one. The way he's got those kind of sleepy eyes, and he's sticking out his tongue. And they all come with these sort of artificial teeth. Oh, and a little button bung hole on the back. That's sort of signature for some reason. It does have this label, and I don't know why they do that. I guess they have to do that. I'll probably cut that off. That's really a little bit much. He's plush, but he has a kind of, it feels like felt. It's not like super soft plush. It's squishy. I just love his look. So, if you're like me, you're never too old for toys. He also reminds me of a little bit of the blue meanies from the movie Yellow Submarine, if you've ever seen that. And which I think I might drag out my DVD tonight and watch that again. I haven't seen it in a while. I'm just kind of in that mood. All of these creatures, I believe they all have these sort of plastic teeth. They're very realistic looking teeth. Anyway, that's my Fuggler. I don't think he has a name. They do come with a certificate in the bottom of the box. It's like adopt at your own risk. Oh, you can register the number. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it seems like it's sort of like what they did with the Cabbage Patch Kids back in the 80s. They had people registering and adopting their dolls. If you can hear that horrible noise, it's because the steam pipes in this building just rattle and bang periodically until I don't know why that is. Every once in a while they put on a little jam, percussive jam, until they settle down. So today I'm going to do a walkthrough of a deck I've had for a little while, but everybody knows it, so there was really no, or a lot of people know it. There wasn't much of a rush to review it. It's the Aquarian deck that comes in a tin by David Palladini, published by U.S. Game Systems. And I love these tarots in a tin, so that's why I bought this. And also I like the artwork. When it came out, well, one thing I just noticed, I didn't notice at the time, I thought all the tarots in a tin were the same size cards, because I believe the tins are all the same size. I guess I should show you the whole tin. That's the front. That's the back. And the side. The ends. The other side. The Art Deco inspired imagery that brought tarot symbolism into the modern age has kept Aquarian Tarot popular for decades. Yeah, this is almost in keeping with that blue meanie Yellow Submarine aesthetic. The Yellow Submarine came out in 1968. The Aquarian Tarot came out in 1970. And there's something about the quality of the images that reminds one a little bit of Yellow Submarine. But anyway, I skip ahead. I was going to say, I thought all the cards in the tins were the same size, but I'm looking at the title card for the Aquarian and the Fool card from the Centennial Smith, what do you call it? Smith Waite Tarot Deck Centennial Edition. Got to get the title right. And you'll notice that the Smith Waite is a hair narrower and a hair taller. I don't know if you can see that or not. So the Aquarian is just a little bit wider and a little bit shorter. The Smith Waite is a little skinnier. So when you go to buy a deck in a tin, you can't always count on them being exactly the same size. You might want to take that into account. I don't know whether they are real specific about the exact size when they list them in descriptions. The deck, besides the title card, comes with a little biography card, which is interesting. David Palladini was born in Italy but came to the U.S. at an early age and grew up in Highland Park, Illinois. He studied art and design at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, here in Brooklyn. And that, I believe, is where Pixie studied art. And I think they have some of her original designs there. He illustrated books, posters, magazines, covers, magazine covers, and tarot decks. This deck's been in print over 45 years, probably longer, because I think this came out in 70 and then again in 2016, so yeah, several years ago. He illustrated The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King, and several other books. He now lives in Southern California, where he's a photographer and musician. Well, he did in 16. I think he died last year. Also, I noticed on Wikipedia that, where does it say? Oh, he has a memoir, artistic memoir called The Journal of an Artist. And also there is a book on the Aquarian Tarot and the new Palladini Tarot in Painting the Soul, the Art of David Palladini, with co-author Anastasia Hazler, published by Black Swan Press in 2013. That might be worth checking out. I think it's always interesting to read about how artists put together their tarot decks. Instead of the usual little white book, it comes with a funky fold-out sheet, which isn't the least awkward of ways to do this. There was something I wanted to read you quickly in here, if I can find it. In this age of Aquarius, the tarot cards are enjoying a revival of interest, well-deserved. First known cards dated 1390. Probable their origin dates back earlier. A proper reading of the cards can help one gain perspective on... Wait a minute. The cards... Man has always been interested in the mysteries of his unconscious and the future. Whether consciously or not, he's always strive toward the light of transcendent life. The cards in the universal language of symbols explore man's collective unconscious and its bearing on one's personal life and growth. A proper reading of the cards can help one gain perspective on personal questions and reorder the priorities in his life. Whether the cards help one to know oneself better or point one in a new direction, they add a new dimension to one's experience of life. And then there was something else here. In the ancient Celtic method of divination, as in any other method, the quality of a reading is dependent on the sensitivity, intuitive ability of the diviner and on his growth and perception of the wide range of human experience. Whoever decides to read for another should approach the reading with a respectful spirit and an open mind, as free of personal bias as possible. He should always consider the cards relative to the subject's age, sex, and position in life, and adapt the meanings thereby. That's, I think, in general readings, but specific to the Celtic spread. So, anyway, yeah, there's, maybe a quarter of a page for each of the suits, and as well as the major arcana. So that's a little fold out thing. I prefer a little white book to a fold out, but whatever. The backs of the cards, when I first saw this deck, this is the thing that kept me from getting the deck. I don't really like the design on the backs of the cards. I've come to sort of get used to it, but I don't really see its bearing on the art style and the rest of the deck. It's abstract, and I can't really make out whether it doesn't seem to be an actual image of something, but it looks like fish scales or bird feathers, or I guess they're just abstract design shapes, sort of geometrical, but I don't know. I'd rather he had used a different design on the back, and the color doesn't really go either. The color palette in the deck is beautiful. It's a variety of warm colors, pinks and oranges and reds mostly. And the style is very much kind of almost like Aubrey Beardsley, Pre-Raphaelite, Art Deco. The font used on the cards is a little bit difficult to read. It's a handsome font, but it's not the easiest to read. The cardstock is typical U.S. games. They feel a little delicate somehow. Maybe I've been using bigger cards lately, and that's why. I don't know. But that's the Fool. This is very much in the tradition of the Rider-Waite-Smith designs, but they're like extreme close-ups of the figures, and beautiful, but sort of refined, and in some way very much stylized. There's some pattern in the designs. The floral elements are delicate, like pre-Raphaelite, Art Nouveau styles, and that was pretty, very much in fashion in the age of Aquarius, in the late 60s, early 70s. A lot of the rock posters emulated those elements. And I think they sort of carry over into inspirations for the animation in Yellow Submarine, too. The labels on these seem to change font from card to card, so there's no real consistency there. But there's the Hermit. I like the close-up designs. They still have all the elements that you don't feel like you're really missing anything out and can interpret from the images. Sometimes if they do too close up an image, you don't really have anything to go by intuitively, but these all seem sort of framed with symbolic elements you can pick up on. Not a big favorite of the Death card. I don't know why he's wearing a helmet. I guess because he's sort of the Knight of Death or soldier in battle or something, but not big on that one. Another one I don't really care for is the Devil, which seems to be an enormous bat. Bat-like creature. The Tower. The star is beautiful. It looks more like a daytime star than a nighttime one, and it's more focused on this peacock or bird of paradise or phoenix or whatever it is. The Moon. The Sun. This is very much a Yellow Submarine type sun face image. Judgment. Nice Judgment card. And the World. Then we start with the suit of rods instead of wands. And these are in keeping with the wands and the Rider-Waite, although these seem to be sort of almost flowery asparagus stalks rather than the leafy wands that we're used to. These are all flowering, which is kind of nice. It's a very pretty deck. One almost wishes that they'd release a borderless edition of this deck. I think it might be just that much more engaging. although the borders aren't bad. And I suppose if you're into deck modifying, you could fairly easily trim them off, although rounding the corners might be a bit problematic unless you go inside that black border. If anybody wants to do that, I'd love for you to post your results in the comment section and maybe put a link to your photo of your trimmed version. These do have the ubiquitous US Games stamp in the border, which you'd also benefit by trimming to get rid of that, but it's so tiny you need a magnifying glass to see it. I guess they put it on there for legal reasons, but just for the aesthetics of it, I wish they wouldn't do that. Sometimes they put them on the back, but I don't see it in the back image here. Oh, okay, and we're into swords now. I'm waiting for several decks I ordered to come in the mail. I've been waiting on them, I think, a long time. Hopefully they'll come between the next couple of days and the next month, so I have more decks to share with you. In the meantime, I'm getting a bit anxious. I think I only have 3 more decks in my collection that I haven't yet reviewed. I've had them all for a while, and one of them I'm saving for December because it's the closest thing I have probably to sort of a Christmassy type deck. Now, David Palladini did do a deck following this, I think since the millennium, the new Palladini Tarot, which is similar. The color palette is a little wider, and I actually prefer these images to the more modern, updated ones. These look very much like they were done with colored pencil, or a combination of pencil and watercolor, possibly. Pentacles, of course. The images are quite handsome and thoughtful. And lastly, we have the cups. Because they're in close-up, we really do get at the heart of the meaning. It's central to the image. The most important elements are isolated or focused upon. And that is the last card, the King of Cups. I hope if you don't have this deck already, you enjoyed the walkthrough. If you did, hit like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And so that was the Aquarian Tarot in a tin. From David Palladini and U.S. Game Systems. And me and my familiar, my blue Fuggler, will give it a thumbs up. And we'll say goodnight until the next time. If you happen to adopt one of these little monsters for your own collection, I'd love to see which one you acquired. So take a picture and share it with us. See you soon.